Welcome back. If you watch my channel at all, you know that I've got an issue with the cost of new guitars. I think they've gotten insanely expensive and things have just gotten completely out of hand with what manufacturers are charging for American guitars or, for the real Japanese guitars, made in Japan guitars. I think things are just getting a little bit out of whack, and it's gotten insane what the price of a guitar is. I walked in a Guitar Center the other day and they had a PRS hanging on the wall for $14,999. I can't see a time in my life when I would ever pay $14,995 for a guitar, especially if I was a gigging musician. Now, if I was a collector, then I kind of understand it. Like when they made that limited run, they made like, 100 of the EVH Frankensteins Fender did when Eddie Van Halen first signed up with them, and they all sold out before the production run even started, and they were $25,000 a piece. That I kind of understand because those all went to collectors, so people aren't going to play those guitars. And if you're a serious guitar collector, then I understand. But for us average people, the people who are going to get them and play them and gig with them or shoot videos with them or whatever have you, I just think they've gotten insane. I think everything's gotten completely out of control, and I don't see it slowing down. I only see the prices of guitars getting higher as we go. So with that being said, my band, we have a lot of shows coming up, and a lot of our shows are outside. And I do have a couple of expensive guitars. I mean, you all have seen, for instance, my Jacckson, which, in today's world of hyper expensive guitars, $3,000 is actually not a bad price. It's actually a fairly good deal for a guitar of that caliber. But going outside, we played outside last summer, I believe. And we were playing in a little city right outside of my city here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the way they've got their stage set is when we took the stage, we're facing directly into the sun, and the sun was on us the entire time we played. It was probably 90 degrees outside with 5,000% humidity. It was insanely freaking hot, which was a disaster for my guitars. Not only could I keep them in, I had a hard enough time getting them in tune. Keeping them in tune was a nightmare. And then as we were playing, as the sun started to set, of course, the climate changed again and everything went back out of tune again, and it just turned into a headache. So seeing that we've got so many shows coming up that are outside shows, I was like, you know what? I don't want to take my higher end, my expensive guitars outside to play, in the weather. Because, Knoxville, Tennessee, who knows what the weather's going to be from one moment to the next. Literally 30 minutes ago, it was sunny and beautiful outside. Now it's raining like crazy. And that's what the weather's here like. It changes, at the drop of a hat. We have different weather. But I've kind of gotten into this mode where I don't buy expensive guitars anymore because they've just gotten too expensive. When I was buying the Eddie Van Halen PV Wolfgangs, the American-made models, they were $1,700 when I was buying them. Now, amazingly, my PV Wolfgangs are probably worth double what they were when I bought them. Because I've got one, my Tobacco Burst, which is a pre-patent one. It's 1996 model, I believe. And I still play it, but I only play it indoors. I don't play it in outside shows because the weather's just too extreme here and it just jumps all over the place. And it could rain at any time. So, knowing that we had all these shows coming up, I thought, you know what? I've got to have another guitar. I've got to have something else I can take outside besides my, Indonesian RG1120, which is just a brilliant guitar. And then I've got one of the cheaper made Wolfgangs, I guess they call them the standards now, that have the cutaways. I got one of those and a couple other little guitars that I take to play outside. But I needed one more that was just a step above those guitars. Something more in line with my Indonesian Ibanez RG1120. So I went shopping, and this is what I came up with. So after a lot of looking around, this is what I found. This is an SLA Jackson. This was made a couple of years ago, actually. This guitar, if I'm not mistaken, was $13.99 when it was new, and I got this for $650, which is a hell of a deal on this guitar. And as you can see, the guitar is absolutely lovely. It is a beautiful guitar. There's no damage on it anywhere. It was just in perfect, absolute perfect shape. And so we went down, and I was with my wife, and I just started playing guitars. You know, I went to the used section, and we just started picking up guitars and playing them, because I wanted to find something else that played good, that wasn't vastly different from my Ibanez's, because that's kind of become my home guitar now. And I mean, I played some Les Pauls, some PRSs, and I played some PRS SEs, which personally, I'm not a fan. Everyone I played was absolutely terrible. It just felt cheap. Everything about the guitar felt cheap. And so after playing a few guitars, the wife handed me this one here, this Jackson. And I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Jackson guitars. You know, after Fender bought Jackson, they just weren't the same. They weren't what they were back in yesteryear, by any stretch of the imagination. And after they bought them, they kind of fell off a little bit, in my opinion. Now, I used to have an American-made Soloist that I paid a fortune for back in the day, and I ended up selling that to a guy in England. Well, I've never bought another Jackson since. I've never found one that I really liked. And the few that I played, you know, just sporadically, I just was not a fan of. So the wife hands me this guitar here. And lo and behold, when I'm sitting over there and just kind of noodling around on it, I'm like, well, hang on now. This actually is not half bad. And so I went and played some other guitars, and then we left. And then after, you know, I'm that guy, I got to sit and think about it overnight. So after thinking about it overnight, I thought, you know what? I think that would be a great guitar to have to put up with my Ibanez, my 1120, and these will become my outside guitars. So I don't have to take, you know, the couple of higher end guitars I have, I don't have to take them out into the crappy weather here in Tennessee to play. And so I ended up getting this, and I got to tell you, 650 bucks, this thing is freaking awesome. It is absolutely awesome. And I guess it kind of gets me to the point that you know, I don't know if it's just because I've gotten older or I've gotten more cranky. I have no idea what it is. But I'm kind of getting to the point where I just don't want to spend a lot of money on guitars anymore. You know, you play them, you gig with them, they get beat up, you know, they get scratched up, banged up, tremendous amount of wear, obviously. And I just don't want to spend a lot of money on something that I'm going to use like that all the time, that I'm just going to absolutely hammer, because my J Custom, which right now is, well, actually, that's probably my favorite guitar ever, is my red J Custom. And it was $3,000, a lot of money for that guitar. But the reason I got that guitar is because that guitar was kind of a limited run of that. But $3,000, and I got to tell you, that was a struggle, because before that, I had a $2,000 cap on guitars, which actually now, that's even gone down from there. I would have a hard time spending $2,000 on a guitar at this point in my life, especially when I can find things like this for 650 bucks. Absolutely insane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the stats of this guitar so I can kind of give you an idea of what's going on here. Before I bought this, I came home, did some reading and all that stuff, and really couldn't find any good reviews on YouTube about it. There's a couple reviews, they kind of sucked. And I'm not going to, you know, just, you know, do the whole photo shoot and all that. I'm just going to talk about the guitar and kind of give you an idea that you can actually buy really good guitars used for a hell of a price and get a hell of a unit. So before I get into that though, I do want to say, please subscribe to my channel. I've been gone a few weeks. Things got busy. And, you know, I really don't talk about it a lot on this channel, I don't think, but I'm a weapons instructor, and I wanted to get my armed security instructor's license, which means I have to work as an armed security guard for a year. So I went off and did all that training. Then I got a job with a company. Then I had to go through all their training to do all that stuff. And then I've got to work for years as an armed security guard. Absolutely fine. I took a part-time job. But unfortunately, when things get busy and life gets in the way, unfortunately, it's my YouTube channels that suffer. Mainly because, you know, we all got to make livings. When life comes calling, you got to go to work. So with that being said, please subscribe to my channel, because, you know, obviously the more subscribers I get, the higher my YouTube channel goes up on the ladder of things that have to be done that week. And, you know, it's just a cold, hard fact of life. That's how it is. So, you know, subscribe to the channel. If you like what I do, if you like my videos, please subscribe. I had, I don't know, last month, 1,000 hours watched, 1,200 hours watched, 1,300 hours watched, I don't know, something like that. But it was only 4.9% of my viewers were watching, which means 95% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel. Well, if those 95% of the people who watch subscribe to my channel, Then all of a sudden, my YouTube channel becomes higher up on the priority list because it's making more money because, like I said, we have to live. So if you like what I do, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And, and if you don't want to subscribe, well, give the video a thumbs up at least because that helps the weird YouTube changed daily algorithms. But enough about that. Let's get back to the guitar. So what we've got here, this is an SLA Jackson. This is the Soloist model right here, and this is called a unicorn. And you can see that it is a transparent white, which is absolutely lovely. And I've always had kind of a thing about white guitars, and shockingly, I don't own any. I used to own a ton of white guitars, and over the years, they have just gone away. This is now currently the only white guitar that I own. It does have a natural, it's not really natural. I gotta be honest, I'm not sure what the binding is. It's some kind of faux pearloid essence something or another, but it actually does look pretty good. Now, the nice thing about this is this guitar, the back of it is white also, which I absolutely love. They do have an oiled neck on it, which is fantastic. I'm not a big fan of painted necks. I do like the natural necks. They're just a little speedier. They're not as tacky, which is fantastic that they did this at this price point. And as you can see, it is a neck through, which currently this is my only neck through. No, it's not. My Randy Rhoads Flying V is also a neck through, but this one is a neck through also. But this is the only one that I will play regularly because I don't play that Flying V that much. That is a neck through. So, and I got to admit, it's pretty cool because it's super easy access up to the 24th fret. All right, so let's talk about the appointments of this guitar. It does have that standard fare, which I guess Fender's doing it on everything now. 12 to 16 degree radius necks. Personally, I kind of like a straight radius. All my Wolfgangs are a straight 15 degree, except for the one I have upstairs that has the 12 to 16 radius because it's made by Fender also. And then my Ibanez's are 15.75. So this goes from 12 to 16. So up here, it feels much more natural for me than it does here because it does have kind of a round radius here at the bottom, which they say is easier for chording. I gotta be honest, I notice zero difference whatsoever. It just feels a little weirder to me because it's round. I'd rather just be a 16 degree all the way down and be done with it, to be honest with you. But it does have jumbo frets. They are not stainless. Now, I think this guitar is $13.99 new. If Ibanez, my PBZ 1120, if you watch my channel, the one I call my Jimmy Buffett guitar, it was $13.99 new, and it did come with stainless steel frets. Actually, it came with EVO golds. So if Ibanez can do it, why can't Jackson do it? Why can't Fender put it on there at this price point? Because I think anything over 1,000, I'm sorry, should have stainless steel frets. It's not that much more money to add stainless steel. I think it's just kind of a way for them to cheap out. But you do have some companies like Paul Reed Smith, for some reason, man, loves his nickel frets. But it is what it is. But with that being said, the fretwork on this guitar is absolutely flawless. There's no fret sprout. The frets have been polished buttery smooth as opposed to the Ibanez Jiva 10s that I had. I had 3 of those and all 3 of them sucked. So there is that. The frets on here are very nice. I have not put a fret rocker on it to make sure everything's straight, but I have done a minor setup on this guitar because all guitars need a setup, new or not. You have to set a guitar up. So when I've done a minor setup, I got to do another real setup on it, which I haven't gotten around to it yet. It does have an ebony fretboard on it, which I love because ebony is a very snappy wood. It has a very maple sound to complement its maple neck, which generally will make a guitar a tick brighter. But it really depends on the overall wood of everything on the guitar as to what your tone is going to be. Now, before you start sending me comments saying wood doesn't matter, wood doesn't change tone, blah, 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 I highly recommend you watch Rhett Shaw's video where he takes a Fender guitar and he puts 3 different necks made out of 3 different woods and listen to the difference in the tone from the wood. I have always said wood makes a massive difference in your tone. And I've had numerous people send me comments telling me I'm crazy, I'm stupid, watch this video, watch that video, wood makes no difference. Well, think about it. If wood made no difference in tone whatsoever, then wouldn't all guitar manufacturers just use the cheapest, crappiest wood out there so they could make more money if it made no difference in tone? Think about it. So, but further to prove my point, I'll get to that in a minute. So this has, like I said, this is called a unicorn. It has the transparent white top and it has white on the bottom. It is a set through a through neck, which I absolutely love. The body on this guitar is mahogany. That is a dark wood, a dark tone wood. The top on this guitar is ash. Ash is a warm wood, but in my experience, ash is not very bright. All right, more on that in a second. It does come with a Floyd Rose 1000 series pickup. It's okay. It's okay. It'll do the job. Let's put it that way. The thing I do like about it is if you look, it does have a matching headstock. That is absolutely fantastic because if you buy a guitar from Sir and you want a matching headstock, after you spend $4,000 on your guitar, you get to kick out another $500 for matching headstock. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely pathetic. At $4,000, put a matching headstock on the damn guitar, okay? Not that hard. But it does have, you know, your standard fare tuners on the back of them. They are the Jackson tuners. They are not the greatest, but they work. They are a little catchy here and there. It does have, however, as you notice, the very cool Jackson headstock. And I'm sorry, I think Jackson makes the best headstock in the business. I always thought they have. That is just the symbol of 80s rock and roll. That's what that is. And so I do like that. Since it is a one-piece neck, there is a scarf joint in the neck here. It's not a big deal, granted, but this is 2 pieces of wood as opposed to 1 piece of wood that has been CNC'd out. It does have a standard fare Floyd Rose tremolo on it. Now, one thing about the tremolo on this, it's like every other standard tremolo. It's got the claw, got the springs, yada, yada, yada. Is it as good as the ZPS system? Even the cheaper zero trims on the Ibanez's? No, it is not. And I'm going to tell you why. Band practice the other day. I started off playing my Jacckson. Flawless. That has the low pro on it with the ZPS system, the little adjustment wheel. And what's going on with the ZPS system, instead of having just the regular springs in the back that work the claw, the ZPS system has 2 sets of springs that work the trim system, which is what helps make it so stable. This has your typical 3 springs in the back like most Floyd Rose guitars do. All right, played the Jacckson, flawless, perfect. Played my Indonesian 1120. And it also has the ZPS system, but it has the Edge bridge on it. Not as good as the Low Pro. The Edge is about the quality of this, but with that system in it, the ZPS system, flawless, not a problem. This one here, tuned it up, set it, got everything squared away on it. About 3 songs, had to retune it. 3 more songs, had to retune it. Jumped over one of my Ibanez's for a couple songs because different guitars do different things. Got this back up. When I got it back up, had to retune it. All right. Now, since then, like I said, I've done a minor setup. I am going to have to do some more work on this because I've had to tune it so many times that the back of the bridge is now starting to lift a little bit, which means I do not have enough tension back here. So I have to pull the tension down, which hopefully is going to help keep it in tune a little better. We will see. One cool thing, the guy who owned this guitar, I don't know if you can see it, but he put all these little acid wash screws, blocks, the locks here and the screws here. These are all the acid washed ones, if you can see them. And of course, this guitar, camera's my Blackmagic Cinema camera, so it does not autofocus, but it should be fairly in focus here. So hopefully you can see those. Because I gotta admit, that's pretty badass. That is pretty badass. So I kind of like that, and I wouldn't mind throwing that on some of my other guitars. I think that's very cool that that guy did that. Okay, moving on. So you do have, like I said, the Floyd 1000 series on it. Now these are Seymour Duncan pickups. This is the Distortion series pickups. Distortion bridge, distortion neck. Not a big Seymour Duncan fan. They make great pickups. I've always gone with DiMarzio. For some reason, DiMarzio just sits better with me. Every guitar I own has DiMarzio pickups in it, except for this right here. Now my PV Wolfgangs, they have the EVH pickups, which started out as DiMarzio pickups. They're just a progression from the DiMarzios, because actually the tone zone that comes in the Jacckson and a lot of Ibanez guitars was actually one of the final 3 pickups for Eddie Van Halen back in the day when he was having his own pickup made. DiMarzio was doing it, and the tone zone came into the final 3 of all those. But his pickup is basically a DiMarzio that has been reworked. So that's why the EVH pickups sound so damn good. These are the distortion pickups. It's very, very odd. They're not bad pickups. They're just not my favorite pickups. And out of the 2, I like the front a hell of a lot better than I like the back. I gotta admit, this pickup in this guitar with this wood configuration is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. The back one's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but I did have to make some changes on the rear pickup, on my fractal, because I have my own sound. Now, when you hear it, real quick, I am running direct. So let me get this out of the way. My tone is set up for my PA system, all right? It is not set up to run direct. So it's probably gonna sound overtly distorted going through here, and it may not sound that great going direct. But this is my sound that I use when I gig. Through my PA system, it is brutal. It is huge. It is massive. Direct, it's not that great. And I've never really taken the time to sit here and make a patch for direct. And I gotta be honest, I'm probably never going to do that. So, with that being said, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me find... I unhooked my wireless and I got a cable around here somewhere. I just have no idea where the hell it's at. That's a good sound. Guitar pick. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check the tuning on this real quick. I am down a half step, and I tuned my guitars before I quit playing them. And this one has already pulled a little flat. So obviously I'm gonna have to do some more setup on it. Good enough. So my guitars, all my guitars are down a half step. Every one of my guitars is down a half step. All right. Now, a couple more things about the guitar real quick. It does have white markers on the top, sitting on an ebony fretboard, which I love, makes it very easy to see. What I do not like are these little itty bitty shark inlay fins that they put up here in the top corner. That makes them incredibly hard to see, because sometimes when you're playing, you know, you're kind of getting into it and you're looking down, you can see the front of the neck of your guitar. Personally, give me dots and be done. Put white dots on a black fretboard, I'm done. These little shark inlay thingies here are actually very hard to see, which I've noticed right away. And so it's gonna take me a minute to get used to that. Kind of like when I got my Jacckson with the Tree of Life. It was actually kind of hard to get used to that with all the leaves and the vines and everything moving. It took me a minute to get adjusted to it. Now, I will adjust to this, but I shouldn't have to. Just put the regular shark inlays in it or give me dots and be done. Don't make me have to, you know, sit here and hunt and peck for and get used to playing this. What I do like about this guitar is it plays very similar to my Ibanez's. It does have a very crazy thin neck, which I absolutely love. You know, I don't have the biggest hands in the world. I got average dude hands for somebody that is 5'10". In the guitar world, though, they're little girl plastic hands, because you look at, you know, the freaks out there, you know, Paul Gilbert, you know, his fingers are like this long. I mean, they're like legs hanging off of his hands. It's absolutely insane. So I got average size hands for a 5'10" dude, so I can't really make a lot of those insane stretches those guys make. Except somehow Randy Rhoads did it. He was a little dude with little hands, and that guy made some insane stretches. I don't know how the hell he pulled it off, because he was a little bitty dude. He was a tiny guy, but he did it, so I guess I should just quit bitching and whining about it, huh? And just play with my little hands. So anyway, one thing that, oh, real cool though, real quick. One thing that I thought was pretty cool about this guitar is it did come with the DiMarzio strap locks. That came on the guitar, the DiMarzio strap locks, but with Seymour Duncan pickups. Think about that one. Anyway, so one thing about this guitar, the pickups. Now, check this out. This is my tone. I've been playing with this tone, for about, God, probably 25 years. And when a lot of people hear it, they can really, well, that's very Eddie Van Halen sounding. Well, it probably is. It is after the Balance album, with a little more gain. And back in the day, I had a very slight chorus on it. And now I use a detuner, of course, to get the tone, but it is the tone I've been using forever. So it's my tone. Now this is my tone. It sounds nothing like my Ibanez's. I use this tone with all my guitars, except this one. It's very woolly sounding to me. Now, when I did read the thing from Jackson, the release from Jackson, and then I went to DiMarzio and I read this, not DiMarzio, Seymour Duncan, and I read the stats for these pickups. These pickups produce searing high end with a very tight bottom and punchy mids, which it does none of the above. None of the above. So the only thing I can throw out that makes it like that is how dark the wood is. Because this pickup, if I'm not mistaken, has a treble rating of 8. And the pickups in my Ibanez 1120 have a treble rating of 4 and put out a lot more treble than these pickups do. So it's got half the treble, but when you hear it, it's a hell of a lot more treble. Those pickups have a bass rating of 7. These have a bass rating of 4. My Ibanez pickups have a much, much tighter bottom end than this does. This one's very loose and a little on the flabby side. It's not bad, but it's just a little woolly. It's just a little woolly, and it doesn't quite have that brightness that my other guitars have, because I like a brighter tone with a little bit of heavy on the bottom, but very tight. But it doesn't really have that brightness on it. And they don't sound bad, and that may be a tone you like. It's just not a tone that I'm that crazy about. So what I had to do is I had to go into my fractal and make a new channel for this Jackson, which is this. To make it sound more like my Ibanez's. Now, it's not that I'm trying to get all my guitars to sound exactly the same, but I do like the same attributes in all my guitars, because I generally have 4 guitars that I play, because each guitar does something a little different. There's certain songs I use certain guitars on, and even though they sound similar, there are differences in all my guitars. But I like for them to sound similar. So I had to make this guitar's own setting to get it to sound closer to what my other guitars are. And I use all my other guitars on my sound, which is called my sound, my tone. This one I had to make one, and I call it Jackson, because I have to use it on that. The problem comes in when I go and use other patches on my fractal that are set for all my other guitars. This one just doesn't sound quite as right as the other ones do. And I don't want to go in and have to make alternate patches for all my different sounds in case I want to use this guitar. So I may end up changing out this pickup here. I'm not sure. Even though this pickup has a very high treble rating with very tight bottoms, it doesn't work in this dark of a wood. That's why Eddie Van Halen uses basswood bodies on his guitars, because they're very bright and punchy. My Ibanez 1120 PBZ has a basswood body. It's very bright and punchy. Now my J Custom, which is my other main guitar, which has a tone zone in it, it is mahogany, but it has a maple cap, which adds to the bright and punchiness. They put an ash cap on a mahogany body, which makes the guitar dark. That's the only thing I can think of as to why this guitar sounds so dark to me. And maybe a touch, like I said, a touch woolly on the bottoms. And the mids are just a little woofy. So I had to go in and readjust and re-EQ a new channel just for this guitar. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and go through what the sounds on this guitar sound like, because now that I've got a good patch for it, the back pickup is actually livable, but the front pickup is phenomenal. And before, why am I doing this? This is a used guitar I bought. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I want to show you what you can buy for $650 if you take a little bit of time to look, shop around, and not just rush out and buy something. Because I looked for months before I came across this. I looked for months and then found this Jackson. And I gotta admit, for $650, it was a hell of a deal. I mean, it was a steal for a guitar that plays this good. Now, keep in mind, I do have to do another setup on this. I did an initial setup, just a very quick tweak, screw. I haven't really sat down and put, all my tools on and said, okay, let's set this guitar up. So I may have a little bit of fretting issues here and there, but we're gonna find out. So real quick, here is the real pickup, the rear pickup on my Jackson, on my tone to the Jackson settings. Here is both pickups combined. That actually sounds pretty damn good for that much gain with two pickups. But this is what's crazy. This is the front pickup, which I would never normally play a riff like that on a front pickup, but it sounds freaking awesome. And it pulls some of the highs out, of course, being a front pickup, but it adds a lot of warmth into it, but it doesn't add that woolliness and that muddiness into it, which is just absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the back pickup, but this Seymour Duncan distortion front is absolutely brilliant. And you're going to hear it more here in a second. And out of all my guitars, I think the guitar that has the best neck pickup is my 1996 Wolfgang. For some reason, and I've had 30 Wolfgangs that I have bought and sold over the years. I've never sold that 96. It is without a doubt the best sounding Wolfgang I've ever owned out of all of them. And for some reason, that front pickup on that guitar is just magic. This one is close, very close. Get into that in a second. Let's do the clean tones real quick. Here is the rear pickup. Kind of what you expect it to sound like. Nothing magical, thin sounding rear pickup. Yep. That's what I meant to do. So it's okay. So, rear pickup. Now, both pickups combined. That's not a bad sound. That's not a bad sound at all. It's not a bad sounding. It's not a bad sounding blend. Having my Ibanez's with the 5-way splitters, I've kind of gotten accustomed to a little more glassiness in them than as opposed to having a 3-way toggle, which is 2 double coils. But that's not bad. Here is the front pickup. So it's not a bad sounding pickup on the clean stuff too. It's not obviously that Fender sound, you know, that heralded 4th position sound or anything like that, but it's not a bad sound for what it is. But here is where this pickup comes to life. All right, here's the back pickup. This is a lead tone here. So kind of give you an idea of what that sounds like. That's the rear pickup. I gotta admit, that's not bad. After I went in here and adjusted it, that's very, very livable. Here's both pickups combined. And that's a good tone. But this, this front pickup, and you gotta remember now, tone and sound is very subjective. You know, what sounds great to me may not sound great to you, but to me in my ear, this front pickup sitting in this mahogany body with an ash top, with a maple neck, with an ebony fretboard, sounds absolutely heavenly. That is magic. That is absolutely a brilliant sound on this guitar, and that is what sold me on this. This guitar plays, and you know, even for the setup it had on it, it still played shockingly well. But then when I had a chance to play it and I was, you know, kind of riffing around on the front pickup, I was like, oh my God, that is a fantastic, brilliant sound. And there's a few guitars that I think the Ibanez, which one is it? The 1530, the one I did the review on years ago, the black one with the silver strikes in it, has the DiMarzio Fusion pickups in it. That pickup was literally made for that guitar, but it was literally made for that guitar. That pickup combination in that guitar is brilliant, brilliant. And I know so many people who said they don't like those Fusion pickups, which blows my mind. Those pickups are some of my favorite pickups ever made in the world. They are brilliant inside that guitar. When they put them in the 1120, which is the smaller brother of the 1530, I was a little skeptical because it had a basswood body on it. Then I played it. And that's my Jimmy Buffett guitar, by the way, the blue and tan one. I call my Jimmy Buffett one that I play on most videos. Even in that basswood, absolutely brilliant. Those pickups were simply made to go inside of that RG. There's nowhere else those pickups belong besides in an RG. This front distortion, Seymour Duncan, belongs in no other guitar in this world but this Jackson. This front pickup in this guitar is freaking magical. It's like Seymour Duncan made it for this guitar, and I love it. And the simple fact that the guitar was white, transparent, which I absolutely love, that it has this crazy skinny neck on it, which is very reminiscent of my Ibanez's, which I absolutely love. Throw into boot that it is a neck through, which is seriously cool because it's the only neck through guitar that I really have that I play. It does have a Floyd, blah, 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 blah. But add in the fact that it has this absolutely brilliant pickup, which honestly, had I not bought this guitar, never in a billion years would I have bought this pickup to put in the front of a guitar to say that is going to sound fantastic. Now, will it sound this good in other guitars? I don't know. But it is absolutely magical inside of this Jackson. Now, with that being said, like I said, the point of this video is I paid $650 for this guitar, and I love it. I absolutely love it. This guitar is absolutely on par with my 1120 PBZ. It was made in Indonesia. This is made in Indonesia. That guitar was $13.99 new, if I'm not mistaken. This guitar is $13.99 new, if I'm not mistaken. The difference is I cannot find one of my Ibanez's used for $650. I found several of these used for $650. This one just happened to be at my local guitar center, but when I went online, they're used everywhere. I found them from $650, $699, $799, right around that area. My Ibanez, I think the cheapest I've seen one of those used is $899. Usually they're around $999, and it's worth every penny. It is an absolutely brilliant guitar if you can get past the color. Now, on that Ibanez, they did redo the Ibanez. It is no longer the Jimmy Buffett colors, and they have put in it a set neck, which I'm dying to get my hands on one of those because I do not own one of those through Ibanez. But I wanted something a little different from an Ibanez, but had I found a great deal on another Ibanez, granted, I would have bought it. But the cool thing about it is we don't have to buy American guitars anymore. We don't have to buy super high-end Japanese guitars anymore, because with the invention of the CNC, which has been out forever, then you have all these other countries that they're setting up factories in, like Indonesia and even in China, where they're using their specs. You know, Ibanez sends, here's the specs for the guitar. Send them to Indonesia. You mill this out, bolt it together, boom, it's going to be perfect. And it is. So therefore, you can buy that 1120 PBZ for $14.99, $13.99. Well, it's probably gone up now. Or as opposed to the 1530, which I believe now is $21.99 for that guitar. This guitar was $13.99. Okay, here's the caveat. The American version of this guitar is $39.99. $4,000 for a Soloist. I had a Soloist, an American version. And I think I said that in this video already. I sold it to a dude in England because it never sat with me. I did a video a while back, do you connect with your guitar? Because if you don't connect with it, you're never going to play it. It's just going to be something that's just going to be sitting in your room or in a case or whatever have you. I only buy guitars that I connect with now. There's a lot of guitars I'd love to buy, but dude, I got to play it, go home, think about it, go back again and play it and see if I connect with it. Much to my shock, I connected with this Jackson. I will play the life out of this Jackson. And I needed that other outdoor guitar, so I have to take my, because actually what this guitar is going to be the replacement outdoors for my J Custom, because I needed another guitar like that. Now, is this my J Custom? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It doesn't sound as good. It doesn't play as good. It doesn't do anything as good as my J Custom. But it's $650. It's not $3,000. But here's the caveat. With a little bit of love, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of skill, a little bit of cranking on it, and maybe a better trim system, well, I can make this absolutely as good as my J Custom. And still probably have no more than $800 in the entire guitar, and that's after putting an original Floyd Rose into it, if I decide to go down that route, which, I may not. This one works fine for right now. After I get it set up, if it holds tune like it should, when I do a full setup on it, then I'll just rock what I got, this 1000. If I'm having a problem with it holding tune, well, I'll cash it out for an original Floyd Rose. But right now, I'm going to kind of roll it the way it is right now. One thing that is kind of a bummer is this right here, this locking nut, this edge and this edge right here are shockingly sharp. And I mean sharp to where, if you're doing a quick slide and you crank your hand back in there, it's going to bite you. So at one point, I may have to file these little points down right here because it is insanely sharp on this guitar on all four corners. But like I said, why spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on guitars when if you take a little time, a little patience, and you shop, you can buy something like this for a fourth of the price. Literally a fourth. And in the case of this guitar, less than a fourth, hell, a fifth of the price from what its American companion cost. This is literally a fifth of the price. And I can make this play every bit as good as that American one with a little work. I can make it play just as good, guaranteed I can get to play as good as an American soloist. So at that point, well, you are buying better appointments, let's be honest. When you're paying all that money for a guitar, you get better stuff. On a J Custom, you get the Low Pro trim system, which is the best trim system, period. I'll argue that point every day. There's nothing better than a Low Pro. Nothing better. To me, some people don't like it. That blows my mind because it literally disappears under your hand. I love the Low Pro. As opposed to, the Edge Zero Bridge trim system on it. You get better quality woods. But like I said, in today's world of everybody CNCing, because this body was CNC'd, this neck was CNC'd, this fretboard was CNC'd. It was all put on a CNC machine. It was cut out. It was brought down to proper thickness on a CNC machine. Everything was done on a CNC machine. Hell, it was painted. It wasn't even painted by hand. It was painted through a damn factory. That's why the paint job on it's so flawless. So exactly, if you buy an American or a real Japanese guitar, what are you really paying for? Because you can buy this for $650, spend $500 on it, if that, better tuners. Go up to original Floyd Rose. And all of a sudden, you've got a guitar of the same quality as the American version of this guitar. And you still have it for a fourth of the price. So, maybe I've gotten older. Maybe I've gotten crankier. Well, I know I've gotten crankier. I'm going to be that old dude that sits out on the front, get off my yard. I'm going to be that guy. I already know I'm going to be that guy. So that's coming, and I'm looking forward to those days. But, dude, for $650, it's got a great paint job, ebony fretboard. It does have the unfinished maple neck on the back of it. It does have a scarf joint. It is what it is. I like the 7-piece necks on my Ibanez's or the 3-piece necks on my Ibanez's. Pretty good pickups once you adjust the EQ on it. Paint job's fantastic. It's white front, white back, has a matching headstock. It does have the 1000 trim. It may work, it may not. We'll find out. The controls are pretty good. Simple 3-way switch. Does what it's supposed to do. Very easy access. Got the neck through on it, which I absolutely love. It's got the seriously badass Jackson headstock, which I do love. This has always been my favorite headstock in the world, even though I've never really been a Jackson guy. I've always really liked the headstock. They just look cool. They just look rock and roll, don't they? It's Jackson. Just looks rock and roll. For $650, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And as long as I can find guitars like this, I don't ever see me paying over $2,000 for another guitar as long as I live. And it is what it is. They're too damn expensive. And that's just the cold hard facts. Guitars have gotten insanely expensive. So, that's all I wanted to talk about, and I know it's a lot. I've been gone for a few weeks. Like I said, please subscribe to my channel. If you watch the video, please subscribe to help my channel out. Because like I said, unfortunately, when things start going on and life gets in the way, my YouTube channels they end up going to the bottom of my list, and that's sad because I absolutely love making videos for you guys. I've got to get back onto my Moonlight Sonata series. I've got the first 2 videos out. I got to get that finished, but like I said, when work calls and all that stuff, I got to go. And unfortunately, what suffers the most are my YouTube channels, and that sucks. So please subscribe so I can get my subscriber numbers up, because the more subscriptions I can get to it, the higher up the ladder of priorities my YouTube channels become, because I love doing this and talking with you guys. So I'm going to wrap this one up right there. If you get a chance and you find one of these, this is called the Unicorn. It is an SLA2, I believe, Unicorn. Check it out. Maybe the guy who had this just took exceptionally good care of it. I don't know. But this one here is absolutely brilliant for $650. I mean, mind is blown. I did not think I would ever pay $650 for a guitar this good. And it's made in Indonesia. So what? The other guitars I made in Indonesia are absolutely brilliant as well. And I didn't have to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for them. So I'm gonna wrap it up right there. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it down at the question and comment section. I do answer all questions and comments. Well, I answer if it's a question, I answer. If it's just a random comment, well, there's, rhetorical, then there's nothing for me to reply to. But if you do have any questions about anything, it usually takes me a day or two, sometimes 3 days, but I do answer all questions that come across my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and please share the video. Please like the video, whatever it is to help YouTube and their insane algorithms that, they're going to change them tomorrow. So whatever we figure out today will be completely different tomorrow. And, that's it. I'm going to wrap this one up. I do have a video coming up. I bought some tools off of Amazon that were literally half the price of the tools on StewMac. I'm going to test them out, see if they're any good, and I'm going to be doing some reviews on those because, you know what? Like I said, I'm old and cranky, damn it. I don't want to pay $200 for a freaking tool if I can get the damn thing for $100 that works just as well. I have become that guy. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up right there and hope to see you in the next video.